I have a base here that has one loose tuner that will wind for a few turns and then goes totally loose. You might be able to turn the peg to tighten it a little and try again, but the same thing will keep happening. This is often a fairly easy fix. Let's see if we can fix this one. First, take the string off the tuner. Next, fit a wrench to the nut on the top of the tuner. Then remove the stem and the washer and the tuning peg, which you might have to unscrew, although I'm going to put this back on in about 30 seconds, so you can leave it where it is. You'll typically have a screw or two on the back of the tuner. There's one screw here that we'll remove, and then we can pull off the tuner. There's a screw in here, and this tuning peg is threaded onto that screw, but I'm not able to thread the peg tightly into place. So we need to access the screw by taking the cap off the back of the tuner. To do that, tighten the peg on the screw as much as you can. If you can't at all, just rest it on top of the screw. Then I use the wrench from earlier to give the peg a bit of a smack. This will drive the head of the screw into the cap on the back of the tuner and knock off the cap. And in here we can see a gear and the screw. So the problem is, over time the screw has backed itself out from the threads in the peg and it's not holding the gear in place. The gear in here has to go in a certain way. The flat side fits around the bottom of the peg and the indented side holds the head of the screw. Really, all we need to do is snug everything up and put it back together. So drop the gear back into the tuner as we just discussed, then fit the peg into the gear, and then tighten the screw through the gear into the peg. Put the tuner back into the headstock, then add the washer, and then the stem. Just hand tighten the nut for now. That'll give you some flexibility to line up the screw on the back. We'll add the screw to the back, then snug up the top with the wrench. Next, put your string back on and hopefully it tightens up. Now, I don't mind a guitar that looks like I've played it and given it some care, but some of you might want to get this cap back on. So find your best pair of gloves and some glue. I pretty messily wiped quick drying glue around the edges of the cap, then put it in place. Since I was trying to stay in front of the camera, I put a glove over the headstock to keep glue off of it. Of course, you can just move away from your guitar before potentially dumping glue all over it. Set the cap in place, and when your gloves get in the way, you're just gonna have to get glue all over your fingers anyway, or just be more careful than me. If you don't have quick drying glue, you can put the cap in place and then put a piece of tape over it until the glue is dry. In my messiness, I got a bit of glue on the back of the cap, but I was able to clean it off with Goo Gone. Again, you can avoid this by being more careful than me. If this helps you, let me know below.